Hello friends, welcome back. So this is a beginner-friendly tutorial for the UI5 developers where I'll just show how to create a UI5 library that the same can be consumed in UI5 application. I think this is pretty common use case and there are certain options and challenges. So that is probably the motivation to create this tutorial for you, and I believe it will be helpful. So the overall testing and the demonstration I'll do in Business Application Studio as an ID, but you can use any other IDs of your choice like VS Code or maybe Vim Editor. It's up to you, but more or less the concept should remain same. And if you're coming to my channel for the first time, my request would be to subscribe my channel and set the bell icon so that you get a notification the moment I upload a new content in my channel. So let's head over to the development. Now to start with, I'll just have my BAS opened, and meantime it's just creating the installation process. So I'll be just using yomel generator to create the library. So you can just write something like yo and then use the UI5. So this particular thing will give you certain options to create the libraries or maybe applications. So if it doesn't work in your case, you can just quickly check by simple help, and it will show you the options that this particular command does or provides. So you see here it has UI5 library, as well as it will offer something called easy UI5. Yeah, this one, right? So in case it doesn't offer those things, you need to install, and for that npm install -g, it's a globally, and then you have to use generator easy UI5. So if you just do that, it will just have this one installed in your system, and then in trial account, and then you can access this. And I have already installed it, so I am not using it anymore. As you see, like, it doesn't have anything, it's a fresh project only. So I have to give a library name. I'm just giving a library name, my library. Okay, so let's create. It's asking for some namespace, giving it NS as the namespace. Selecting with the arrow key, the SAP UI5, that is the framework that I'm going to use. Framework version is good to go. Developer is okay. Would you like to create a new directory? Yes, of course I need to create because I don't have any directory. It's already created, started creating it, and also installing the different dependent libraries or node modules rather. So it looks like the installation is over, and now if we just unpack this library little to understand what's there inside, you'll find something called source src folder. Yeah, and under that you will find something like, so you'll see something called example.js. So this is the control, and if we just little scroll down it, let's close this one, you will see something called metadata, and maybe in some other video I'll just talk about how to create a custom control. But for the control, you will have certain properties. So, and here the properties is one of the text object. It has a color property, certain events, and so on. Okay, and also now it has some example renderer, which is just used for the rendering engine, and it will just render the things to the UI. Okay, that's pretty much this two files does. And library.js is basically the main file which actually triggers or initializes this library. Okay, that's pretty much this file contents. Pretty simple thing. Now if you just check the other one, which is the test file. So test is basically a client or maybe an application, and this application is just created or generated just to test the library itself. And here I'm just using, or rather the generated code is using this tool library and the example.js and the main library files. That's pretty much the unpacking. So now if you want to test it, pretty simple. You can open the terminal, and let's get into that folder first. So you will see it's already started, but in package.json you will find some start command, and this is what is actually serving. Okay, this example.html, which is a file from this test client. Great. So now the library overall, how it is working and how it will look at so that is probably you can see. So let's close this now. Now let's create another application where I'll just use this particular library, right? So for that same thing, we can use your UI5, and it will just give you an option to create the application. As you can see, it also provides an option to generate the library, as I said earlier. So the same steps you have to follow if you just use UI5 command. But anyway, we are going to create the project this time. I'm using an UI5 project. Now, this demo is not to be testing things on the cloud. Okay, so I'll be just testing over here within this BAS. So my static web server is fine. Otherwise, I had to go for some application router for Cloud Foundry or some Launchpad service. But I'm not going to do this time. So to make it simple, static web server. And now it is asking, do I need an LSP or language service provider? And that's what the development purpose. But I'm not going to develop anything as such, so I don't need this particular thing. So let's wait for some time. So it looks like it's installed. And if I just unpack a little on the my bad, it should be my app instead. So same thing, you have the UI module, and under that you have web app. So now I need to use my library within this application. So how to do that? The very simple thing first I should go with, because different options. So maybe you can consider it as an option one. So I'll create a new folder within web app, and I'm creating it library. So now once this library is created, we have to load this file from this live test. What we have to do, we have to just pull this library and put under the same library folder. Okay, so obviously you will see now the enter content will be over here. I don't need the node modules because I'm not going to test it within. So I'm just deleting this one to make it a little lighter from the file size perspective, and it is just simple content that will be within this library. Now let's clean this one. So what we have to do now, we can check in the index.html file within this web app, and there we can add a resource root of this particular file path. So we can say like init my library, and we can simply write something like, so this is my web app. So within web app we have this library folder. So let's expand it a little, it will be easy for us. And then till my library should be fine for me. Okay, so this is what I need from my index.html perspective. So that way, this is the linkage that I'm going to create. Now you can do the same thing in manifest.json as well, but that is not recommendable, because when you'll deploy this particular file to cloud, it will not take your index.html in consideration. Or rather, it will start from component.js, and it will start rather it will look for everything of the app properties from the manifest.json. So that's the reason I'll not recommend to put those things in the manifest.json of your web app. Okay, so what's next? We just need to use this inside our view. So let's add this one XML namespace, and you can put something called demo maybe, and you can add. So I just added this one. So obviously next I need to add it in my content. and here I can now use the same element, which is demo. And what I need the control, and that is example. Okay, and obviously the property that I'm going to use is the text, and I'm just saying hello world. Okay, so that's all. It is asking, I think, for some quick fix. Generate ID should be fine, right? So that's all I have added. If I go to index.html, it is showing this one as I explained, and here in my main view I'm just using that particular control. So let's start this application now and see what happens. And I must expect now something called hello world, right? So let's see. Awesome. So now I am just able to use this one from my application. But here is one problem. The problem is this particular library, I'm just loading it within my application, right? But library should be in some other area, and I should not be including the content within my library, within my web app rather. Because as you can see, if we just delete this one, and you see this particular thing loaded under library, the center content, which actually I'm using it for my from my application. So if I just now doing a building, if I doing a build for this app, it will consider this library also a part of. Now to avoid this, very simple thing you have to do. This is the application of our UI5 YML, which is the app descriptor kind of, and this will be used for my generate the build. So you can see builder, and I can create resources, and I'll just say excludes, and there I'll tell like exclude this library when we'll generate the build. So if I save it and just doing a build of this thing, what are the builds? I think my app, it will have a package.json, right? If we just do a cart command of package.json, I will see yeah, there is something called build UI. So this build UI I need to run, right, npm. So let's run this one, npm run build UI. My bad, I put a dot, it should be build colon, right? Yeah. So now it will start building up, and it will put everything in a distribute folder, and inside that I must not see a library. You see, it is not there. So that way, when I deploy this to my ABAP or maybe cloud, it doesn't create a problem, but still I'm able to test it. So is there any other way? Let's check for the option B. Now for option B, I started with the same two folders. One is my application and another the library I already generated, and as I did last time. Now these two folders are independent, and there is no linkages I have done yet. Now to start with, I'll just create a couple of folders first, kind of a preparation. I'm calling it my workspace, and once I create this workspace, I would like to go inside, and then I want to create one more folder, and that is called my package. Yeah, so let's see what happens. My workspace, and inside that my package. Cool. Now I would like just put two folders inside my package. Okay, let's drag and drop there. Similar way, I would like to do same thing for my library, both now under this my package, and currently I'm in my workspace. So now the Next thing would be I'll just create one package.json. So implement. So what will happen? It will create a package.json file, and that is under. Oh, I think this will be under my workspace, right? Same level. So I don't need these two things here, and I will just use something called private, and I'll just tell you why do I need it shortly. And I would also want to mention this to my package.json that my workspace will basically considered as my package. Okay, so it is my package and everything under my package, so that should be my workspace to be a part of. Okay, so let's save this, and next action item would be now to use a dependency between these two files, like this app and library. Let's see how to do that. So let's go to the first application, which is my app, and there I'll just go to package.json, and then let's close this first, and here I'll just add something, our library as a div dependency. So my library name is actually, if you just expand a little bit of my library, and my library package.json, if I go, yeah, my library is the name of the library. Okay, so I'll just use the same name in my applications as well, and I'll put the version as 1.0.0. Okay, and the same thing I would like to keep it under UI5 dependencies as well. Now the thing is, like as you all know, that this is basically a node modules, but our library is not yet registered in our npm. So I think I have to just do save all. So if I just now run the terminal, and if I just go to it's failing, but let's see what for. It is telling that my library is not there, right? So that is a problem. So what we can do is, for that we have to just move back to the workspace level. So that means now I'm back to my workspace, and now I just need to run a command called yarn. Okay, so if I just make it, it will just make a local dependency. But to run yarn command, you have to have this particular, private has to be true, because you're not publishing it actually. So that's the reason it's a private. Then only you can just yarn command, and it will just resolve all the dependencies. It's successfully done. So what happens is, now if we just close everything, you see a new node model has been created, right? So let's close all, make it fresh, and you just expand this node modules, and if you scroll down a little, you will see something called my app and my library. So both are now added, okay, to this node modules at the workspace level. So what now we need to do, we can just expand my app, and we have to just use these node modules in our view. So just expanding UI module, expanding web app, go to views, and just put something folder and XML namespace. So that's what we're going to add. Let's save this. Let's see what happens. It may fail, and see why it is failing. Looks like it failed. So if I just open it, the inspect, and here you will see the same problem. It's like fail to load. So it doesn't work, looks like, but it is not. We have to just do a little bit tweaking. Let's see what are the things been actually exposed in our static server. And here you'll see something called resources and test resources. In resources, Yeah, we'll see NS and my library is loaded. So this is the control I'm looking at. So what the problem is the index.html, and this is the thing which is I have to remove, because this CDN I don't need, rather I need everything to be from resource. Okay. So if I just run again, let's go back, and it's live reload is already working. So let's see if I run index.html, what happens. You see now our option B is showing. Pretty simple, right? So only just had to change the resource of UI core from resource directly, not from the CDN. Now, if we just deploy this code to BTP Cloud, this will not work. So what is the problem, why it will not work, and how to solve it? To check out, you need to just watch my next episode. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. I'll connect soon.